Hey everyone, this is David Brown, and in this video I want to talk about the housing for seasonal birding jobs. When you're working a seasonal birding job, often you'll be living somewhere other than where you're from. So I'm from Pennsylvania, but I've worked in Delaware, New Jersey, and New York. And so most of these jobs are going to provide housing for you. I'm coming up on my 8th season as a hawk counter, and I've worked at 3 different hawk watches and have had 4 different housing situations. So I thought I would just run through what the different kinds of housing are and what my experience has been. The first kind is when there's an actual house and it's shared by multiple people. So an example of this is when I have worked at the Ashland Hawk Watch in Delaware. There's an old farmhouse on site that has 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bath, a full kitchen, dining room, living room. So I've usually lived with 2 roommates. So everyone gets their own bedroom, and then you share the rest of the house. And the benefit of that kind of situation is you have other people who are interested in the same things you are. My roommates have typically been the nature education interns that work with the school groups that come in. And so they're interested in nature, and if there's any problems, you have multiple people to solve them. The downside might be you have to plan a little more carefully as far as cooking and taking a shower and when you wake up and go to bed, just because there's only one shower in the house. So obviously you'll have to wait your turn. But from my experience, it's I've always gotten along with my roommates and no major issues. Now, when I worked at the Montclair Hawk Watch in New Jersey, the housing was in an old farmhouse that had been converted into a nature center. So the downstairs was a nature center, but upstairs there was a small apartment with a bedroom and a bathroom. So that was basically my private area. And then downstairs there was a kitchen that the public didn't have access to. But in the evening, no one was around. I was the only one who lived in that building. So I had a lot of privacy there, but at the same time, it's you don't have roommates to talk with, and actually the nature center manager lived with his family in another building on site, so there was always someone nearby. But I still had my my privacy, which I enjoy. I enjoy living alone, so that kind of situation didn't bother me. Now, it was nothing fancy. It was a very old house. If I showed you, what the shower looked like, what the bathtub looked like, definitely a little bit rough. You're not living in luxury, but it's definitely livable. You have everything you need. You have a place to sleep. You have a place to make food. It's just temporary housing, so you don't need anything fancy. My first season at the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch in New York, I basically lived in a basement apartment, and I didn't have to do anything as far as finding the apartment or paying the rent. That was all taken care of for me. But actually, this was probably the nicest housing I've ever had. This was someone who wasn't associated with the Hawk Watch. It was actually a neighbor of one of the organization's volunteers, and that was a really nice place to live. It basically was like a man cave. It had a small bedroom, a really nice bathroom and shower, and a full kitchen with a gas stove. It was really, really nice. The view was beautiful. It looked out onto a pond. So there was the owner of the house lived upstairs, and but I had my own entrance in through the garage that went into basically a laundry room, and then there were stairs down to my part of the house. So I didn't really have to interact with the owner of the house. I had my own privacy. I could come and go as whenever I wanted. So that was really good housing. My second season at Braddock Bay, it was a similar situation. It was another basement apartment, this time living with one of the volunteers. And this one, there wasn't as much privacy in that the basement isn't completely separated from the rest of the house like it was in the other place. But this was someone who I knew, and so I would come home and, she'd ask me, "Oh, how was your day? What did you see at the Hawk Watch?" And we talked for a few minutes, and then I would go down to the basement, and there was a door that shut, so I definitely had privacy. And again, it was nice. Now it was a little smaller. It didn't have a full kitchen, so I ended up cooking a lot just using the microwave and a toaster oven. And but again, it had a bathroom with a nice shower, and it had a fireplace, so it was comfortable. Definitely very clean and comfortable. I've also interviewed for a couple other hawk watching jobs, and when they've explained the housing, it's been one of the two styles. Either you're living in someone's house, whether that be a basement apartment, or it might even just be you have a bedroom that you're renting, or it'll be a house where there's going to be multiple seasonal workers living together. Those seem to be the most common options. I know before I started working these kinds of jobs, I was a little worried about the housing situation. What's it like to have to live with roommates, or just how does it all work? But really, it ends up being pretty simple. And if you don't know how to cook, this might be a good opportunity for you to learn how to cook. That's how it was for me. I didn't know much about cooking, and now I basically cook every meal for myself. So it can be a good opportunity, especially if you're younger and maybe don't have much experience living away from home. It can be a good chance to sort of get you used to the reality of the world as far as, going to a grocery store, getting food, cooking, doing laundry. And I should mention that every place I've lived has laundry. There's always been a washer and dryer at the place I stay, so I've never had to go to a laundromat or anything like that. Okay, I hope this was informational. And if you have any questions about the housing situations for seasonal biology or birding jobs, you can leave a comment below and I'll answer it. This is David Brown. Thanks for watching.